Well, welcome to another edition of In the Pocket. All thanks to Palmerbet. And have a look at the big
Bang, bang, bang. We're from Tigerland. Fighting Fury, we're from Tigerland. I've been waiting for this moment. I have not slept an absolute wink for the last half a week. It's been a big round of footy. And I'll tell you what, if you're tipping, if you're getting sevens, eights, and nines, you are absolutely know nothing about footy. It's a tough round to pick.
Oh, Spide, it is a tough round to pick, mate. And yes, my beloved Tigers saluted on the road at Adelaide last Thursday night, big fella. And I made the outlandish statement here on this show, Spide. And I said, actually, my electrician's loving it because it's getting plenty of airplay. His little electrical beanie at the moment. But I did say if the Tigers happen to win, I'll get the Dusty Martin haircut for his game number 300. And
well, hang on, because we know for a fact, we know that Adam Uze played this to the players before they ran out. Who said, look at this, boys. You know what?
It's not
Matty Stewart, you can worry about everything else. Don't worry about the 44,000 Adelaide Crows fans here. We win tonight.
No.
Matty Stewart's going to give Dusty Martin something to think about. So, ladies and gentlemen, I absolutely
haven't got much hair either, Spide, but there she is, mate. Look, I'm gonna kind of give a bit of a flick up there.
Oh, look at that. That is an absolute Monty. That is, you know what? Well done. You've done it proud. You've done it absolutely proud.
I don't know, mate. I'm a bit worried about this little bit up here. There's not much there, is there? Like, I'm
I would put a little bit of shoe polish on the front, but because the back V that's thick. That's good.
It's good. It's got good coverage, mate. But listen, it is the great man's 300th, of course, on Sunday. I can't wait for it. They're taking on the Hawks. I'm going to ask you, Spike, give me your top three players of all time. And does Dusty feature in it?
Oh, absolutely. I think for me, I'd have to go. Dusty would be, third, fourth, or fifth in my book.
Yeah,
absolutely. Norm Smith, Brownlow medal, you name it, and the player that he is, and he's been able to continue. Like a couple of those grand finals, he dragged Richmond along to win it. They were no hope without Dusty, and that's just fact.
No one, Spy, will ever win 3 premierships and 3 Norm Smith medals, will they? Not in our lifetime. No. I just cannot ever see that happening again.
No, and it was during a tough period of time too, during the COVID years as well. And he did drag him along. I know you're pretty happy with it, aren't you? Hey,
I kind of not.
You're going to keep it.
A ball pass. Who's number one? Who's number 1, 2, and 3?
Or number 2, 3 would be Dusty. Would be right up there. You'd have to start then going through some real specifics about players, but I'd say Dusty 3 for me. I always think Wayne Carey's number 2, and you can sit there and go, well, it doesn't matter if it's what he does on the footy field. For me, Wayne Carey. For me, it was only because I would go home and we were playing against North Melbourne, and I would always turn on North Melbourne to see what Wayne Carey was doing.
Yeah.
To see how the duck, it doesn't matter the condition. If it was raining, you knew the duck would, he just had presence.
Yeah.
And my number 1, I just reckon Gary Ablett Jr. is the greatest player I've seen. That's for me. I just think
that's really. Yeah, I'd go the other way. I reckon Senior is the best player I've ever seen. Just a freakish ability. I absolutely, Gaz Ablett Jr. would be in my top 5 for sure, purely and simply for what he did, having that name and having to come with the pressures that come with and stuff. But I just reckon Senior was an absolute freak, and he'd probably be my number 1 spot.
Yeah, a lot of people would. I just think Gary Ablett Jr. ran his own race, had all the the hype around the name. His old man didn't have the best of time while he was playing, and he still ran Brownlows. He still got up, won, best and fairest, even though the Gold Coast Suns weren't the best. But I just found whenever he got the ball, something freakish happened. He was a freak, Gary Ablett Jr.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, hard to argue with that, mate. Lee Matthews is obviously the name that gets banned.
It's hard when you don't watch him play.
Buddy Franklin, that's right. 100%.
Yeah,
and he was before our time, or before my time in particular. It might have got a little bit of you spied back.
Way before me. So look, I saw him as a coach, but and that was always hard. I had him as a coach at All Australian, but and then you got Buddy, but then you can't compare Buddy with 3 Norm Smiths of Dusty Martin. totally different players. But, for me, growing up and playing football, they're probably, within my top three.
Love it, mate. Well, this hair's got to stay at least to the weekend, big fella, because
Well, you've got no other option.
No, I might get the mohawk cut off. I've got races coming up in a couple of weeks.
What do you mean? You've got to keep it on now.
Blinder, and I'm a little bit worried about. Look at that ball patch there, Spy. To be honest, I'm receiving.
It looks like he's just been come off the fairway and just a bit of a divot. I don't mind it. I reckon you got to keep it.
Of course you don't mind it, mate. Shouldn't see fair dinkum. You should see. I walked down the streets down here, and I've had the beanie on of that. And everyone's coming up, and they just want to rip the beanie off, and it's a talking point anyway. And as I said, my old Sparky, he's pumped. His beanie's got plenty of attention.
Oh, absolutely.
Over the last 20 or the last 4 or 5 days. Hey, let's have a look at the good, the bad, and the ugly from last weekend. An amazing weekend again. The good weekend for the underdog, of course, with the Tigers we just touched on, mate. Not so good.
Yeah.
Over the time of my life, I reckon I wasn't barracking for the Tigers to get the job done. but what about the Kangaroo, Spy? Road trip to Perth. They were challenged late in that last quarter, but they lifted and they got the job done. It was a great effort and reward for effort, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was a spirited win. And as you say, West Coast were down. They were gone. They come back. They did everything right. And then, North Melbourne were able to cling on. And I was happy for them to cling on too, because you don't want to dominate so much of the game, give the opposition a sniff, especially when you're 0 wins for the year and then they come back and win. So, a lot of punters sitting there going, you know what? It's either going to be this time they play West Coast or next time they play West Coast, but they're the only 2 chances they've got of winning a game. And like I said this when West Coast won their first game, hopefully they did celebrate. I reckon Adam Simpson would have said, boys, go out and enjoy it. We've had a tough year. I mean, not Adam Simpson, I mean Clarko. And I know what Clarko's like. Clarko would have said, boys, go and enjoy it. Absolutely turn it up. You've had so many bad days. Get around each other and have some fun. So it would have been a good night to be a North man.
Yeah, absolutely. Great to see for the North supporters. And it was only a couple of weeks ago, we were kind of questioning whether they might have got a win in the 2024 season, which wouldn't have happened for a very long time. But I'm so glad that they got it. And well done to the Kangaroos, faithful for sticking fat as well. And a good price you could have got last weekend as well, all thanks to Palmerbet. What about the Bulldogs, mate? A weekend to forget for the Western Bulldogs, mate. Went down to the Lions by 43 points. Injury list is growing by the week. They now sit outside the 8th in 11th position. I know we keep banging on about them all the time, but is it panic station spot? I must admit I was all over the Lions last week. I thought they were too good a value at 245.
Yeah, look, I think, absolutely. Yeah, you were. And they were good. And we had to see what they were going to produce, but they coming off the bye, they knew what they wanted to do. The Dogs have got a long injury list, but, there's just that clump of teams at the moment. It's just so close. You look at the Suns and the Saints, we'll get to that. And they're so close. And the Lions aren't out of the woods and saying they're going to be playing finals completely yet either. The Bulldogs we know can be very, very hot and cold. And we mentioned it last week without Sam Darcy. Sam Darcy's been their main man towards goal. So they're actually missing a majority of their key forwards. So it's always going to be hard. So, yeah, for me, you keep the Bont a little bit quiet. It's like Melbourne with Petrarca. You're going to struggle. So, well done. The hardest thing is now is that, Brisbane have got a few games at home. Can they power towards the finals? They've got a side that you think, been questionable over the last month, but you produce that, do that for 2 or 3 weeks in a row, and you're suddenly back in the mix.
Yeah, I expect the Brisbane Lions to power home, as you just said, mate, and I reckon they'll play finals come the end of the year. The ugly early season favourites continue to slide. Both Melbourne and the GWS Giants went down again. Once they were the favourites for the flag, currently sitting in 8th GWS. They were flying early on in the season. Melbourne have slipped to 10th. Now, the premiership betting, Giants were $4.50. Now they're currently $8.50 Spied. Melbourne were $5. They've blown out to $15.
I wouldn't be backing either of those at that price.
No. I must admit, I reckon Melbourne are the ones that are really in trouble for mine. Their last couple of weeks has been deplorable, to be honest.
Yeah, I think you're not going to ever rebuild a Melbourne, but they've got an opportunity. I think they've got to start trying to trade a little bit harder. I think Stephen May could go somewhere for a year, and be
Yep.
valuable. They keep Lever. Oliver's still questionable. I think he might need a new, jumper on to get the best out of himself. Seeing some footage of him just not doing the Clayton Oliver of 2023. And then Petrarca now, 4 broken ribs and, a massive injury, which is going to be weeks on the sideline. He's their main man. So, gone. He can't do it all. So I think Melbourne really have to start now reviewing where they're at, what their list looks like, and what 2025 and 2026. I don't think they can, if they're going to make finals, they're just going to hobble in. They're not going to really have much impact, I wouldn't have thought. And, the same with GWS. And at those two odds, at $8.50 and, even $15 or so for Melbourne, still not inviting enough.
Nah, I couldn't agree more. And I reckon at the start of the year, Spot, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I might have left the Demons out of my top 8.
I think you did.
I think I did.
Yeah, you did. I had him in my top 4. I had GWS in my top 4 as well. So always been a tough year for that. But, on the other side, you look at, when you had Fremantle in and, for me, Hawthorn can still play finals. Nobody would have had the Hawks to play finals, but, they're every opportunity to play finals now.
Hey, mate, you touched on it off the top, tipping last week. It's been difficult, mate. Let's be honest, all year. 3 out of 8 for yourself.
Oh,
4 out of 8.
that is disgusting.
It is, but you look at the results. Like Richmond beat Adelaide over at Adelaide. We expected, Adelaide to bounce back. Giants, we both had. West Coast, we both thought would beat North Melbourne. You took Gold Coast. I took your Saints. You're not allowed in the rooms down there anymore. It's St Kilda.
Oh,
mate.
no.
You're and then we both were on Melbourne last week. Everything's wonderful in hindsight, Spide, isn't it?
Yeah, it absolutely is. And that's what makes, you talk to anybody and everyone is loving this this year of football because it is so close. And there's so many players, you saw even yesterday, Nick Dacos hobble off and everyone's going, oh no, is that Collingwood season? So you kind of sit there and just really pray that your top liners don't get injured and are able to sustain the big, long season it is. So, a couple of weeks ago, I spoke about, why you want to see your best team out there every week. And why do certain teams manage players? You sit there and understand why now.
Yeah, spot on.
Because September is so important. September is when the money really starts to roll in. That's when the big games happen. So all you got to do is get there. Doesn't matter how you get there. And if you're in the top 4, that's even a bigger bonus. But you don't want to jeopardize that all if you're able to manage a couple of players.
And it's a long season, you're going to have ebbs and flows, aren't you? You're going to be in form for 3 or 4 weeks, drop off a little bit, another fitness block spike. You're going to come good again. So it's a tricky little situation, mate. Your best bets last week, St Kilda, Gold Coast, mate. You took the Suns to win. Ben King and Jet Coast is 2+. You got Benny King, Mac Andrew 20+ disposals, mate. Shame on you for tipping the Suns.
Yeah, I know. It teaches me right. But I had the big King. The King's birthday weekend. I had the Kerno, Charlie, and the big Benny King to kick 3+. They both kicked 2.
Yeah, you're stiff, mate. Yeah, they had plenty of it. Plenty of options.
And small scoring. Yeah, small. And especially Benny King, like a low-scoring game. Rossi, start kicking goals.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Get us in the money.
I don't think Dimmer was too happy about it, was he?
No.
My best bet, I had Brisbane 1-39. They actually won by more. Spy, they absolutely belted the Bulldogs. St Kilda 1-39, and Melbourne let us down as well. So not too far away there. But let's turn our attention. What have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games of footy this weekend. I must admit, I hate the fact that there's no Thursday night footy now.
I hate the fact that we've got so many buys and so many teams having a rest. You know what you do? You play them all up. Everyone have 1 weekend off. Yeah. And then we all just go again. If you're on 2 weeks off, we all have 2 weeks, however it works. But in that week off, put a State of Origin VFL game on or put something on that, we can all get around. The players can all go away. They know what to do. And then we're back. I just don't like 5 games here, 7 games here. The ladder's not right. You know what? Just keep it simple.
Yeah, I'm with you, mate. Could not agree more, big fella. They got to get better at it. That's for sure. Let's turn our attention. Brisbane taking on St Kilda Friday night, 7:40 at the Gabba. Head to head, Brisbane $1.24. St Kilda $4.10 at the line. Brisbane minus $24.5, St Kilda plus 24.5 $1.90. Saints looking for 3 on the trot spot. Brisbane have gone win, loss, win, draw,
Oh, let's
win.
hope.
So
They're
that's
due for a loss.
they are due for a loss. Are you giving your Saints any chance here, mate? Like this
I'd
is
love
the
to.
game backs to the wall that they kind of live for, don't they?
I'd really love to. But Brisbane at home, it's so hard. They're such a good side. You know, Brisbane at home are a different side. The Saints aren't in good nick at all. So you kind of sit there. But then the season it's been, you're silly not to tip the Saints because that's just the season that we've seen. So you kind of sit there and go, well, I'm totally confused because the season tells the Saints should win, but then Brisbane should win because they're at home. And look, I do like as much as, I thought, the midfield of Brisbane really started getting the ball rolling last week. They started getting their hand on it. They knew what they wanted to do. McInerney's been good for them. And, they're small forwards. They're forwards, Charlie Cameron's due. We've been saying that for a long time, and Danaher, but Rayner starting to get his hand on it. As good as the Saints are, will it be low scoring at the Gabba? It's perfect conditions at the moment. It's 23 degrees. They're going to absolutely love it in Brisbane. But I still can't go past the Lions as much as it hurts, and I want to stick with the Saints. I can't. I've got a bet to start making a profit.
Yeah, got to start the head, mate.
Absolutely. So I'm sticking with Brisbane.
And 12 v 13. Who would have thought? It come round 14 that would.
And when you look at that, when you're looking 12 v 13, who do you think's had the better season?
I'd have to say Brisbane. When you'd have to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You'd have to say Brisbane's been more, even though they've had a bad season, the Saints have had probably a worse season, and they're 12 and 13. So, they're actually not that far off on the ladder. So it's hard, but Brisbane have played one less game. Let's not go into that either. So I'm going to stick with the Lions.
I'm going to stick with the Brisbane Lions to get the job done against the Saints as well. Spide. Western Bulldogs taking on Fremantle Saturday, 1:45 p.m. at Marvel Stadium. Head to head, Bulldogs $1.70, all thanks to Palmerbet. Fremantle at $2.15. No one wants to take them seriously, including you, Spider Effort. At the
no.
Bulldogs minus $5.5 $1.90. Fremantle plus $5.5 $1.90. Now this is 11th. Playing 6th on the ladder. And for the Fremantle Lockers, they've gone win, draw, win, loss, win. Okay. The Bulldogs have gone loss, win, win. I know where I'm going, mate. I'm sticking with the
I'm with you. I'm on the bandwagon.
They're value.
Is it too late? Is it too late to jump on?
No, big fella. We will let you on, mate. We're Palmerbet. They got the purple, mate. They love the purple.
I'm hanging on the back. I'm hanging on the back. They said jump on. No, I'm with Fremantle. I reckon they actually are a very good price. Week off, coming to the Marvel. The Dogs, a lot of injuries. Yeah. And they just run. Fremantle have got the run. They've got the spring in their step, and they've found how they want to play. They've got deep forwards now. They've got people who can present, and they've got a young gun midfield that really their midfield. Very rarely do they lower their colours. Start of the year, they started getting beaten a little bit defensively and maybe up forward. They didn't have enough firepower. Now they've got the balance right. I'm with Fremantle.
I'm with the Dockers too, mate. And I reckon it'll still be close enough being over here at Marvel Stadium. Bulldogs will be winners at some point in time. They'll have a little run at them. But the Dockers just don't go away, mate. They just continue to press hard, as you said. And I reckon they will get the job done again. And they will play finals this year too, Spot, I reckon.
Well, I think as you know, I called them one of the biggest slips for the year. I thought they were going to continue to fade, but they've proven us wrong. And I reckon you're right. I reckon if they can these are the wins they need to get. Like against the Bulldogs who've got a lot of injuries, get these little ones, get enough in the bank, and they'll win a few more at home that could actually, set them up for finals. But they play a game that, their midfield, is scary enough against any other. Two key ruckmen as well. One can go forward. They can switch. They've got a pretty nice setup.
Yeah, no, absolutely they have. Hey, Richmond taking on Hawthorn Saturday, 4:35 p.m. at the MCG. This is going to be huge. Dusty Martin in game number 300. Head-to-head, the Tigers $2.40. Hawthorn $1.55 at the line. Richmond plus 13.5, $1.90. Hawthorn minus 13.5, $1.90. The Tigers, they've won 2 against Adelaide over at Adelaide, and they've beaten Sydney. The Sydney Swan Spider. Mark that one down. The Hawks are going for 4 on the trot, big fella. And I must admit, I really have enjoyed what Hawthorn have done so far this year. But I am back, big boy.
He's on it.
I'm back on the Tigers wagon, mate. I cannot let the Tiger juggernaut not go. They'll get up for Dusty, mate. And this could be, who knows? He might retire at the end of Saturday too. You never know. So I reckon there's a fair bit at stake for the Tigers and for Dusty Martin on Saturday.
Well, he might retire and pop up somewhere north, maybe. I don't know. You never know. 300 games. What a great effort. What a great player. Unbelievable. We've spoken about him off the top. And Richmond do deserve to win this. And, they have only beaten birds. So they've beaten the Swans and they've beaten the Crows. Can they do the Hawk? That is the big question about Tigers. But, look, Richmond, and I'm sure, players like, Shy Bolton, will really stand up. Rioli, these blokes will really, absolutely. You got Taranto back. They've got, they've got a few players back that have pressed here that have really played and made a good bomb with Dusty, and they'd all do lift with it when he plays. There's no doubt. Then they'll make a huge. Yeah, and they're mad if they don't. They've got to make something huge of this because he's a legend of the football club. The Hawks. I find Sam Mitchell will see this as a massive challenge. Mitch is one of those guys who would love to ruin the party. That's his job. That's, my job is to make sure my players combat the first 5 minutes of what they deliver, and then we're able to build from there. So I reckon Richmond will kick the first goal in the first 20 seconds, but I'm going to stick with the Hawks. I'm going to stay. Hawthorn have been too good. The Hawks, they're in good. I know you've got the Dusty haircut
last week, mate. They were lucky to get the job done last week. A few decisions went their way. Tigers will
they did. I don't reckon that Ginnivan decision was there, and definitely the next one with Newcomb, definitely not there. He ducked, he threw his head back. So I agree, they should never have won. But they're in good enough form, the Hawks. They'll really thrive on this. They'll love it. I'm going to stick with the Hawks.
Righto, big fella. I like it.
Don't hold it against me.
I'm sticking with the Tigers, mate. They are great value on the weekend. There'll be a huge crowd. The Tiger Army are going to come out in force. It's exciting, to be honest. And I'm spewing I can't get down there. We've got local footy here that will be calling, but it will be a sensational afternoon CG.
I'll tell you one thing. You'll hear every time Dusty gets the ball, and if he kicks a goal, it don't matter if you're in Warrnambool, which is 4 hours away, you'll be able to hear him. You'll be able to hear the MCG.
It is going to be huge, that is for sure. And my multi-spite, my Matty's must-have of the Tigers. Believe it or not, a little bit later on, mate. There's no haircuts or anything this week. I'm just thinking.
And I reckon you could nearly chuck on a Richmond jersey and run out there and they wouldn't even pick you up. Get a couple of tats.
Yeah,
just those sleeves. Those sleeves that they make up. Just run out. They wouldn't even pick you up.
Righto, Adelaide v Sydney, Saturday night, 7:30 p.m. at the Adelaide Oval. The Crows, $3.35, all thanks to Palmerbet. Sydney at $1.33 at the line. Adelaide plus 20.5, $1.90. Sydney minus 20.5, $1.90. Swans are going for, I think it's 11 or 12 in a row, Spide. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they are flying. They are going sensationally well. They were challenged by Geelong last week. I think the Cats kicked 5-6 goals of that contest.
6.
And then they just kind of settled in and they just went bang, 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 didn't they, Spide?
It was one of the most extraordinary games of football you've seen. Geelong had them absolutely on toast. 5-0. Yep, Sydney had hit the post and missed a couple of goals. But then they just had this belief. And it's not about trying to kick 5 goals in 3 minutes. Kick one, then kick the next one. Now we're 2 goals. Now we're only 3 goals behind. Kicking another, they just mathematically work it out beautifully. And then when they got in front, Geelong had no answers. They continued to run. and just piling the goals. And as we've always mentioned, if it's not Heaney, it's Golden. Like Golden to get that one step bang 52-metre goal. It's just no, they're a good side. I don't think you can go past Sydney no matter what. Adelaide need a lot of work, and it's crunch time for them. What are they going to do? They're in the same boat as Melbourne. They got to work out what their decisions over what they've done through the trade and the draft over the last year hasn't worked. They thought they were closer than what they actually were.
Yeah, I'm all the way with Sydney here too, mate. But at some point in time, Spide, I reckon the Swans will have a flat game like they did against the Tigers early on in the year.
The Tigers was round 1, wasn't it?
Round 2, I reckon, Spide. Round 2 or round 3 was early on because we played round 1. So so it was round 2 or 3. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So it was early on.
Yeah. It's a long time ago now. They're in good nick, but they're gonna at some point in time. They're going to get challenged.
It was round 3. And it was 5 points.
Yeah. They're going to have a flat one. That's all I reckon. And it won't be this weekend against the Crows. Nah. Crows just don't go good enough, to be honest. And they cost me a haircut. I won't be in a hurry soon. North Melbourne v Collingwood, Sunday, 1 p.m. at Marvel Stadium, head-to-head, the Kangaroos, $7. Collingwood at $1.10. They were awesome. They were awesome on Monday. I thought their hard running was just amazing. At the line, North Melbourne plus 40.5, $1.90. Collingwood minus 40.5, $1.90. Pies have won 3 out of their last 5, including a draw spot. So you just probably put that down as 4 out of their last 5. I reckon they're back. I reckon their running capacity and the way they're working for each other suggests that they're going to have a real push now towards that final series.
Absolutely. And the good thing for Collingwood supporters, and I'll say hello to Burgie, a mate of mine. He texts me every time Collingwood wins. He just texts me a whole big pie warmer of hot pies. And he just writes hot pies. That's all he writes. I only hear from him once a week, every time Collingwood wins. So, look, they are. And as you say, look, what we like about Collingwood, the Dacos boys are getting inside and getting it done, but it's the other players that are really standing up. As you say, they're moving the ball, they're running hard, and they've brought a few players into the team that now, when other senior players come back, they've suddenly got a little bit of depth, and they've got a lot of depth that they can work with. So, they're starting to hit their straps at the right time or the right part of the year. So we're always critical, aren't we, at the start of the year about premiership teams saying we write them off too early. And then, you know what? All they got to do is make the 8 because you don't want to face Collingwood, MCG, in front of 90,000 fans in September.
Nah, couldn't agree more, mate. And as I said, I just love what they were doing on Monday. They were just slingshotting the ball from one end to the other and scoring it. Yeah. You got good quality plays still to come back in, Spide.
Well, the one that gets me, and he's always been, the emergency, I think he might have even been emergency for the grand final, was, Lipinski.
Yeah, Lipinski, yep.
Yeah. Like, he's a freak.
Yeah.
He's a gun player. Like, he hits goals, gets the outside, gets the inside, he does everything, he runs hard. Like, they've got just several players like that who I think are underrated because you've got the Dacos boys. Maynard, you got the big names.
And what about Jack Chris, mate? 237 consecutive games. I think he's 10 off Jimmy Stein's record.
Yeah.
That is unbelievable. Like, you would not have. When I saw that stat come up on X, I couldn't believe it, mate. It was quite phenomenal. But Pies to get the job done. I reckon.
Pies for me.
I reckon the Kangaroos would have, as you said, Spot. I reckon they would have celebrated the red eye trip home pretty hard. And I reckon they're going to get teared up by the Magpies. I'm going to be
I'd be disappointed if they didn't run out there still over 0.05.
Love it, mate. Final game, Sport. GWS Giants take on Port Adelaide Sunday, 4 p.m. at ANG Stadium, head-to-head. Giants $1.56. Port Adelaide $2.44 at the line. The Giants minus 9.5, $1.90. Port Adelaide plus 9.5, $1.90. Now the Giants have won 1 out of their last 5 games. Spite. Power got teared up against the Blues last game, to be honest. Little freshen up. Which way are you going here, mate? Are you sticking with Tsunami?
It's hard, isn't it? This is probably the match of the round when you go through it. Lions and Saints could be all right. Hawthorn and Richmond be pretty good as well. But outside, when you're talking sides to play finals, this is the biggest game of the weekend. And, Port Adelaide, they need a rebound. They're actually pretty pretty ordinary against Carlton. Hopefully Rosé comes back because he's just such an important player. We know him, Butters, Houston. The Giants will, as you say, they just haven't got that tsunami running. Hopefully the week off they can sit there and learn from it and come back. I think at home I'm taking the Giants. I'm going to stick with the Giants at home. I reckon Toby Green will have them fired up. That's what I'm going to stick with. I reckon they've been limp. I reckon they needed a week off, the Giants. They just seem Tommy Green, a few others just had a lot of they didn't look like they ran like they used to. So I reckon a freshen up would be good for them.
I'm sticking with the Giants too, mate. I reckon when the whips are cracking, come the end of the year, this team is going to be around the mark again. Don't worry about that. They've had a great start of the year, bit of a lull. They'll build and they'll continue to build. So Giants to get the job done, and it starts this weekend for the Orange Tsunami spot.
If they want to play finals, it's got to start this weekend.
Righto, mate. What's your pick six for the weekend? What odds are we looking at, buddy?
Yeah, pick six. I'm going the Lions into Freo. Way to go. Into the Hawks, Sydney, the Pies, and the Giants. And that gives you $9.27. So not a big return, but you know what? It's better than nothing.
Mate, we've gone just a little bit different there. I've gone the Lions. Fremantle to get the job done. The Tigers in Dusty's game number 300. Sydney to win, Collingwood to win, and the Giants. So we're pretty similar, 14.65, mate. So we both haven't been the best of Nick, but it's time to
we are pegging back. We are going to we're going to be like the Orange Tsunami. We're going to be the white, purple, and black tsunami that comes home.
Come on, mate. What else you got for us, big fella?
I got two multis. This one I really like. Considering my pick six was $9.27.
Yep.
I'll be going this way for sure. I'm going to go all on the line, at the line. So these are the teams that really need to win. The Lions need to beat the Saints, and I reckon they will at the line at home. I reckon Fremantle, they need to win and beat the Dogs at the line at home. I reckon they'll get that done. And also, I'm taking the Giants at the line, Port Adelaide. So all those three at the line, and that will give us $6.80.
Yeah, nice little price.
I reckon it's a good bet.
Feel you keen?
That's me.
Yeah, love it.
I'm very keen.
Now, anything else, mate? Because I know you like to think outside the square.
Yep. Okay, the Swans. No, the Swans. They're just going along. Okay, they're freaks at the moment.
Yeah.
No one's got answers for them.
Yeah.
They're playing in Adelaide. They're playing against Adelaide. So it's going to be a Sydney shellacking. All right?
Yes.
The double S, Sydney shellacking. I'm going to take Sydney 1-39.
Yep.
Papley and Hayward to kick 2+.
Yes, Papley's in great
nick. And Heaney and Gordon to get 25+.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you, mate?
So that's my... And you see all the odds up there on the screen. That's my little, the Sydney shellacking.
Love it, mate. I love it. That is great.
Go on.
Sydney shellacking. I'm going.
There he is.
Dusty Martin, mate. I've got to just...
Turn around. Give me a good look. I want one more look.
I was trying to find the neck tats, mate. I was going to come in with the neck tats and everything today. I might get them before Saturday and call the footy in the neck tats. Hey, I'll go Richmond to win 1-39, which is going to be a nice price anyway. You're going to get just over $3. Dusty to have 20+, Spide.
Go Dusty, yeah.
Dusty, and Dusty to kick 2+ goals. He's going to have a day out at the gym, mate. The crowd's going to just go ballistic. He rises to the occasion. 3 norms.
He does.
Owes us that. So that's the way I'm going. And the odds will be right here as well on the little multi.
Would you call Sam Mitchell an Australian if he tagged Dusty?
Yeah, don't do it, Sam. Do not do it, mate. Just let him go out there and just let him play his game. And who'd go to him? Who do you reckon would go to him?
Oh, look, I don't know, but they have some really good. Hawthorn's always got a good 1 or 2 run with players. They've done it with Dacos, they've done it with a couple of others, and they've got close. So, Sam, don't do it because Dusty's got good mates.
Hey, listen, download the Palmer Bet app, get involved too. And don't forget the Punters Club Spide, not too far away. We're going to have a whole lot of fun in regards to the Punters Club as well, which I can't wait for, big fella. But we want to start getting a few winners if we're going to join up.
Well, you know what? We're just getting all the losses out of the way. And as soon as this Punters Club arrives, watch out, Palmer Bet, because we are on. We are focused. We are ready to go.
Hey, Spide, there's only 6 games of footy this weekend, mate, but I'll tell you what, it's going to be a ripping round. And the big one, of course, on Saturday afternoon, the Tigers take on the Hawks. Dusty Martin's game number 300, mate. I can't wait to talk to you next week, and hopefully this hair's grown back just a little bit.
Yeah, just get a bit of shoe polish. You'll be right. But we're over halfway through the season, so let's start getting a couple of winners.
Think, is this a bet you really want to place? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.